Hello everybody and welcome to our first upcycle slash thrift flip for 2024. Our first project for this video is going to be an upcycle of an old wooden screen that is adjustable that I thrifted from a thrift store, and we are going to make a wreath, a book page wreath for that screen. So I'm starting off here showing you how I just take some old book pages. I have tore them out of the book. Please do not send me hate messages or anything. I am saving the book from ending up in a landfill, so we are repurposing it. But if you notice here, I'm starting at one corner and I'm rolling the book pages. And then I'm taking a little bit of hot glue and just tacking that corner down to create these cute little rolled up pieces for our wreath. And here I have just a scrap piece of cardboard, a little square piece of cardboard that I'm going to start attaching the book pages to. And I start off by doing the top, bottoms, left and right, north, south, east, west, and then just start filling in the spaces in between each of those pieces to start creating a wreath. If you noticed, I did take the book page and fold over the bottom portion of it. You can do that depending on how big you want your wreath, or you can leave the book page, the rolled up book page, the full length. So depending on how big you want your wreath to be, will determine how much of that bottom portion you can fold over. And it depends on the piece that you're actually going to put the wreath on, if it needs to be, bigger or smaller. So it all depends on the piece that you're working on. Okay, now that I have all four sides, I'm going to start taking the book pages and putting them in between each of those. And I'm just going to continue this process until I get the whole thing as full as I want it. I mean, this does take some time. This is one of those projects, as far as rolling up the book pages, that you can sit and on your couch and watch TV and roll them up and watch a movie while you do it. So, because it does take quite a few book pages, depending on how big of a wreath that you're going to make. Okay, now that I have all of my book pages glued down and made it as full as I want it to be, I am going to embellish the center of it. I'm going to take some peony neutral, they're kind of like a neutral color flower. I wanted something that went more along the lines of the discolored pages. So I wanted something kind of muted, but you can use any kind of florals, any kind of embellishments that you want for the middle of your wreath. It depends on what kind of look that you're going for. I chose to go with these, one of the peonies and a few of the leaves to accent my wreath. So I'm just cutting this off a bundle. I think I ordered um, that group of peonies from Amazon. And I will put my Amazon store link in the description if you are interested in checking those out. Okay, so I'm just going to hot glue the flower into the middle. And then if you notice from the top, I have a piece of jute glued to the cardboard that I glued all the pages to. I just put a piece of jute with a loop tied in it just as a hanger. So I can either hang this on the wall or I can, which I'm going to add it to our vintage wooden screen. Okay, now that we have our wreath done, here is a look at the vintage screen that I thrifted that I want to add the wreath to. Now this screen, it expands and shortens, but I'm going to add some hanging hardware onto the back of it. So the hanging hardware is going to keep it from actually expanding. So if you want to repurpose this and use the screen for something else, you would have to take the hardware off the back to be able to make it expand. And you'll see what I'm talking about here, because I'm going to do 2 D-rings on the back on each side and then add some hanging wire to each D-ring so it makes it easier to hang. Okay, now that we have our hanging hardware on the back of our screen, all we have to do now is add our book page wreath. And I'm just going to take the hanger, the jute hanger that I attached to the wreath, and I'm going to fold it over the back of the screen, and I'm going to tack it down with a little bit of hot glue, and which is an easy change out. You can add a little heat or with a blow dryer or a heat gun to melt the hot glue to be able to take that wreath off and to be able to use the screen for whatever else you want. Okay, now we are moving on to project number 2. I thrifted this ceramic egg holder, which I think is adorable. And then I can't remember where I got the wooden eggs. For the life of me, I don't remember. But we're going to start off by painting the wooden eggs. We're going to use DIY paint, Apothecary, which if you guys are not familiar with DIY paint, it is a clay-based paint. Once you use it, you do have to seal it in, whether it be with a clear polyacrylic or a finishing wax, but DIY paints are all natural. They are water soluble. They can be reactivated if they get wet. So you do have to seal these in. So here I'm just going to take my apothecary paint and paint all 6 of the eggs, and I'm going to put 2 coats on each one and let them dry. Okay, I have all of my eggs painted and they are dried. They are not sealed yet. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a page out of my IOD, Iron Orchid Design transfer book. I'll show it here in just a second. I can't remember the name of the book, so hopefully we can catch it on here. Is it Milan? I can't remember what the name of it is, but I did take the mushroom page out of that. We are going to cut off some of the smaller transfers that will fit onto the egg, and I'm going to do 2 per egg, 1 on each side. So that's all we're gonna do, is we're gonna cut some out. Right now I'm just trying to figure out which ones I think will fit on to our eggs. Okay, IOD transfers are really easy to use. If you've never used them, they are, I like to refer to them as grown-up stickers on steroids. I love these things. It's amazing how just adding a transfer and some paint to one of your projects can take something that is plain and ordinary and just take it up several notches and make it look high end. So all we're going to do is we're going to cut out a few of them. Now they come with a white backer sheet on them. You just peel the back sheet off. You take the transfer on its carrier sheet, place it on your surface that you want the image to be on, and then you'll take a little plastic tool that you get with every book of transfers that you purchase, and you just take the little burnishing stick and start rubbing over the transfer, and it will release onto your surface. Okay, once I have the transfers on each side of the eggs, I am going to take DIY's liquid patina, which is crystal clear chandelier. This can be used as a decoupage medium or a sealer top coats. I prefer this over the big top because it has less of a sheen to it. It still has a little bit of a sheen, but not as much as the big top. So I prefer to use the liquid patina crystal clear chandelier. So, and I'm going to repeat that process on all of my eggs. And then that will seal the paint in, and it will also seal the transfer in. Okay, now that our eggs are sealed and dried, we're going to add them to our little ceramic egg holder, and this project is complete. And how cute is that going to be sitting in your kitchen in a cute little vignette? I think they are adorable. Okay, moving on to our next project. I thrifted this from Goodwill, and it is, I guess it's an iron metal little planter. I love all the detail on it, but we are going to change the color up to make it go with our cute little spring vignette we're making. So I'm starting out with Apothecary, and we're going to do just one coat is all it's going to take. I'm going to do the bottom, even the inside of it. We're going to get it all coated with one coat of DIY Apothecary, and then we are going to take a baby wipe and we are going to distress back and bring back some of that black iron color through there. Now that our paint is dry, I'm going to take a baby wipe and I am going to wet distress this DIY paint. Again, DIY paint is water soluble, so it is easy to wet distress, and it saves on having to use a sandpaper and cause all that dust and stuff. And if you can see here, how easy it is to just wipe back that paint and bring back all of that gorgeous detail in this planter. Okay, now that we have all of the distressing done, I did the bottom and the inside. With DIY paint, you have to seal the paint in. So I'm using, again, the DIY liquid patina crystal clear chandelier. And I'm going to give this one coat inside and out to seal all of my paint in. Now that our paint is sealed in and it is all dry, I'm going to take some floral foam from the dollar store and I'm just going to place it in my planter. I'm not even going to glue it in, so this will be something that can be taken out. The planter can be used as something else, as a storage container, so it's going to be still be able to be used. So I'm not gluing the foam in. I am making it to where it fits in pretty snug. And then I'm going to take some of these, I think they're magnolia flowers I have had in my floral stash for quite some time. I'm going to cut those up into individual stems and cut them down to size, and we are going to arrange our florals in our container and then we will be done. Okay, moving on to our next project. I also thrifted from one of the thrift stores this chicken wire tea kettle coffee thing, whatever you want to call it. It does have some old Spanish moss stuck in it and some old styrofoam. And I'm going to go ahead and remove all of that. And actually, I discovered right here that it's wired in. So I need to unwire that and remove all that. And I'm going to throw that away and we're just going to add some new Spanish moss to it after we change the patina on the chicken wire first. So as soon as I get all of that taken out, I am going to use Dixie Belle's patina paints. And we're going to give this more of a little bit of a subtle rust look to it. We just want to age it just a little bit. Okay, so here is Dixie Belle's patina paint in the color iron. I think they have 3 different colors: iron, copper, and bronze. And I'm using the iron one. And I'm just going to take a brush, a paintbrush, and I'm going to dab it, the patina paint, all over our little teapot here. Okay, now that we have the whole teapot covered with the iron patina paint, I am taking the green spray bottle and I am misting the entire chicken wire teapot, and then we are going to set it aside, let it dry on its own, and it is going to give us subtle little areas all over the chicken wire to where it looks rusted. So it's just giving it just a subtle aged patina, rusty patina look. I love what this Dixie Belle patina paints and spray do. Here I'm taking just a little piece of rusted wire and I am wiring the lid to our teapot to the handle. I want this to, the lid to remain open for this project. If anybody decides they want to change that, then it's very easy to do. All you have to do is untwist the wire and you can close the lid on it. But now I'm going to take some Spanish moss and I'm going to fill the bottom of our project with some Spanish moss. And then I've got some of the greener moss that I'm going to use also. You know, since spring is coming up, I want to add a little bit of color to it. So I'm just going to stick that down in there, kind of like a little nest. But then I'm also going to take a little bit of it and put in that lid that I have wired to the handle. So we're going to make another little nest in that top portion. And then again, I'm going to add some more of that green moss to that. Here I am trying to decide what I want to use for the inside as decor. So I grabbed this gold bunny and it's a little too big. So then I have this other one that is a little bit smaller that kind of looks like concrete. It's kind of a flat finish on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take some I can't even think of the name of it, linen paint, chalk paint, and just dry brush over let me see if I show what the name of the paint is here. But it's just the chalk paint that you can get from Lowe's or from Walmart. So we're just going to take an old little chip brush that I got from the dollar store and we're going to dry brush over the top of it. This is just going to add a little bit of texture and dimension to it, and it's going to bring out the detail that's on the rabbit. It's going to kind of make it look like maybe a little bit concrete, more like concrete. Now that our rabbit is done, we're going to put him in our little teapot. And then I have thrifted from an architectural salvage place locally here called Mr. Henderson's, who I think actually closed down at the beginning of this year of 2024. He was retiring. But I had purchased all of these antique glass, I guess, crystal chandelier. They came off of a huge chandelier in a hotel somewhere in St. Louis that they were cleaning out and tearing down. So, and he had purchased the chandelier. Well, he was piecing it out. So I purchased several of those little glass crystals. And I am just taking one of them and I am hanging it on the spout of our little teapot. I think that just adds a cute little whimsical touch to it. And then we're going to start filling the nest that I made in the lid. I didn't have any Easter eggs or bird eggs that were small enough. As you can see over to the left there, I have some pink ones laying there. Those were also too big. So since I couldn't find the size that I needed in my stash, I decided that I was going to take my air dry clay, which here I'm just using the DAS, D-A-A-S or D-A-S air dry clay. And I'm going to make 3 of my little bird eggs. Okay, so I've got my little bird eggs in there, and now I'm going to add this little bird that I thrifted from a thrift store. He does have some of the little feathers around his face are coming loose, so all I'm going to do is take some hot glue and glue those down, and then we're going to glue him into the lid of our teapot right next to the cute little bird eggs that we just made out of clay. And I did want to let you know that the little glass crystals that I used to hang from the spout of our little teapot, I do have several strands of those listed for sale on my website. And my website is thesimplesprucestudio.com, and I will put that in the description box below if you are interested in checking out my website. Okay, moving on to our final project for this video. This is a thrifted bird cage, and I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to do with the bird cage. I knew I needed to change the color and remove all of the little old tattered looking ribbon off of it. But I thought I was going to make a hanging light fixture, but the more I looked at the construction of the top of the bird cage, the more I realized that trying to drill a hole in it big enough to fit the cord of a hanging light fixture through it, it was going to compromise the integrity of the bird cage. So I opted to do a bird cage cloche. So here I'm just going to remove all of the ribbon from it, and then we're going to use our DIY apothecary paint and give this a new paint job. Okay, now that I have all of the ribbon removed and all the dust off of it, I'm going to take my DIY paint in Apothecary and I'm going to put one coat over the whole birdcage inside and out. DIY paint is very heavily pigmented, so it only takes one coat because it has very good coverage. So we're going to go ahead and get this all painted up. It's going to look like a whole new piece just with a brand new coat of paint. It's amazing how much difference one coat of paint can make on a project. Okay, now that we have our birdcage fully painted, I have the hanger put back on top and that painted also, the wood part of it anyway. To me, it's like a brand new birdcage again. So I am going to make this a birdcage cloche. So I do have I think it was from the Target dollar spot. It's a cute little wooden or faux wood riser that I am going to take some rice paper and I'm going to decoupage the rice paper onto our riser, which I think this rice paper, if I can figure out where I got the rice paper from, I will put a link in the description. But I've had it for quite some time, so trying to remember where I got it from will be will be a job. So here I'm just going to cut out a square big enough that will fit onto our round riser. And then we're going to use some DIY's Crystal Clear Chandelier. Crystal Clear Chandelier is a liquid patina. It is my favorite decoupage medium. It is a lot thinner than Mod Podge. So I love how easy it is to use. But I want the colors in that paper to really pop out. And it's not going to with that wood color riser. It's once it gets sealed on there, it's going to just kind of blend in. And I don't want it to do that. I want the colors to really pop. So I'm going to take some of my Fusion paint in the color Casement, which is a white color. You can use any kind of white paint that you want. And I'm going to just paint one coat of the Fusion Casement onto the top of our riser, and then we're going to let that fully dry. Okay, now that our Fusion paint is dry, I'm going to take DIY's Crystal Clear Chandelier, the liquid patina, and I'm going to decoupage our rice paper onto our riser. And if you notice when I laid that rice paper on there with that white, how much difference it makes from before when it was just laying on the raw wood. It just makes your colors pop and more vibrant. So, and you do not have to paint under your decoupage papers. There's a lot of times I don't, it depending on what look I'm going for. A lot of times I will take a decoupage paper and put it straight onto the surface, whether it be wood or whatever it is, because I want it to look more aged and like it's been there on that piece a lot longer. And then I'll even take my sandpaper sometimes and distress the decoupage paper to make it look more worn. So it just all depends on what look you're going for, whether or not you want to paint your surface first before you decoupage or what. So now when I'm decoupaging, I will actually lay my paper, my rice paper or decoupage paper down on my surface. I will fold over one side, put down a strip of the liquid patina, and then lay my paper back down and then go back over it, the top of my paper with the liquid patina. And then I will repeat that on the other side. So I will do half the project, half one side and then the other side, if that makes sense. It just makes it easier. And you also get your paper in the exact position that you want it in without having to pull it back up and readjust and all that. So we're going to set that aside and let it dry. Now, here's the gold rabbit. It's back in the picture again. We're going to use this one for the birdcage cloche, but it is a little bit brighter gold than I want. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get some Rub and Buff out, and I'm using the antique gold. Now, Rub and Buff is an oil-based product, so keep that in mind if you're using a brush with your stuff, because it's not easy to clean out of brushes. So, but once I started brushing this on, I started realizing it did not change the color that much. It did mute the gold rabbit just a little bit, but watching this, guys, you probably can't really even tell the difference. I could, because I was actually doing it, but if you look, it's not changing it a whole lot. But I do go ahead and I finish using the Rub and Buff over the whole thing. But then I will go back and use my DIY dark wax and dark wax the whole rabbit, which is going to add just another layer of dimension and give it a more aged look. Okay, now we're getting out the DIY dark wax. DIY waxes are my favorite to use. I am not sponsored by DIY and I do not carry their products yet, but it is my favorite finishing wax. They are so buttery smooth and so easy to use. So here I'm just going to take a wax brush. I'm going to take some of my dark wax out, put it in the lid. DIY products are all natural. I do not recommend dipping your brush into the product, the container, because they can get contaminated. And not that they can't be used, but they do develop an odor once they're contaminated. So I try to remember to take a little bit out of the container and put it on something else to use it. So here I'm just taking my brush and pushing all of that dark wax down into all the little crevices and details of the rabbit. And once I get that fully covered, I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to wipe back the excess and kind of buff it up a little bit. Okay, now that our rabbit is done and looks the way that we want it to, I'm just going to take some old book pages that I have torn out of an old book, and we're going to just roll them up. I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to glue the edge so it stays rolled up. I'm going to do this to probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 pieces of paper. I just want to be able to make a little vignette inside of my bird cage cloche on the little riser that we've created. So I have a little glass jar right there that I'm going to stack those in. I think I used 4. So I've got 4 rolled up book pages. We've got our rabbit. And now we're moving back to the riser with the decoupage paper on it since it's dried now. So I'm going to take my little finger sander. You can use any kind of sandpaper you want. And I'm going to go in a downward motion all the way around the riser to remove the excess paper. And this gives you just a nice, clean, crisp edge. Okay, we got all of the excess rice paper off and got a nice clean edge. But since I've used sandpaper on the edges, I am going to go back over the whole entire thing with another coat of the liquid patina crystal clear chandelier, just to make sure it's all sealed in and to actually get around those edges that I just used the sandpaper on. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to take the apothecary paint and we're going to paint our riser, the bottom of it and around the edges to make it match the bird cage. Okay, now that our riser is completely finished and all dried and sealed up, I am going to put it all together. Look how gorgeous that rice paper looks with that apothecary color on the bird cage. So here I'm just going to add my decor pieces. We've got the rabbit, we've got our little glass clear jar with the book pages in it, and then I'm going to add this cute little floral piece with some lavender and greenery on it just to give it another pop of color. And then you can add your cloche. Now the cloche does not sit on the base, so if somebody decides that they want to change out that birdcage and use it for something else, they can, or you can keep it all together just like it is. Now the door on the birdcage does open up. I was making sure that I hadn't painted it shut, so it still opens and closes. Okay, here I'm showing you that the metal hanger on the top of the birdcage is kind of discolored and it does not match with our whole project. So I am going to take my antique gold rub and buff that I used on the rabbit, and I'm just going to rub that over the metal hanger just to bring it all together. Okay, y'all, here is a look at all of our finished projects. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you like these projects. I hope it inspires you guys to get creative with your thrift finds. And don't look at them for what they are, but look at them for what they could possibly be. And let me know what you guys think of these in the comments. Now, all of the items that I have just created will be available on my website for purchase at thesimplesprucestudio.com. I will have my link in the description if you guys are interested in purchasing any of these. The items that you see do come with all of the decor pieces that are shown here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me. And you guys have a good day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.